When you think of corn, what do you see in your mind? Is it a picture of your family sitting at the dining table having some steamed corn? Is it a memory of you eating popcorn with your best friend while watching your favorite Disney movie? For me, I think of something along the lines of eating something made of corn. But I have some facts that'll surprise you. 40% of corn grown in the US is refined into biofuels. Around 36% is used as animal feed, and most of the last 24% is exported. Only a tiny fraction of all the corn grown here is used for food, most of it being in the form of high fructose corn syrup. Knowing that a huge chunk of produced corn is made into corn ethanol, I assume that corn is probably the ideal plant for the purpose of making biofuels. But that's not true, and that's not the only problem with America's corn system. The starch content and how easy it is to convert corn into ethanol is what makes this plant useful for biofuels, but this doesn't mean that corn is ideal for it. In 2009, 165 bushels of corn were produced per acre, which would produce about 462 gallons of ethanol per acre. Compared to this, 1 acre of sugarcane produced 35-ton yield, which could produce 560 gallons of sugarcane ethanol per acre. From this, one very important research question that I have is, why can't we take the land used to produce corn to produce sugarcane or another biofuel base instead, if most of the corn goes to becoming biofuel? Wouldn't it be a better choice since this would lead to a larger amount of more efficient biofuels? That's just one of a few problems associated with the current corn system though. Here are 4 other big ones. Agriculture is supposed to feed humans, but the corn system is inefficient at doing this. Even when corn is fed to livestock, the efficiency of converting grain to meat or dairy calories is very low. For instance, an average Iowa acre of corn can provide 15 million calories per year. But when this corn is fed to livestock, we only get 3 million calories per year per acre. So regardless of how the situation is seen, very little corn actually feeds Americans. Second, growing corn costs a lot of resources. We invest too many natural resources in this system for what we get out of it. Americans use the most amount of land on corn than any other crop. We use a lot of water and fertilizer as well. These are all things that lead to huge negative environmental impacts. Third, the corn system is highly vulnerable to economic shock. Because corn is a monoculture, it is vulnerable to disease, pests, and natural disaster. When corn is low but demand is high, the prices go up. This happens in the other way around as well, making the price of this plant very volatile. This price change can lead to global spikes in commodities, impacting the price of things such as food and energy. What we need is more diversity in our agriculture system. A system that better imitates the natural ecosystem is more resilient than a monoculture. Lastly, there is a cost for taxpayers in this topic. Corn receives the most amount of subsidies in the US than any other crop. What doesn't make sense about this is how farmers will get paid subsidies even during a successful or even a record year. While some farmers need subsidies to reestablish their business, it isn't fair for taxpayers to have to pay for a crop that was never even harvested. Although this can all be a difficult problem to address, especially in today's society where the population continuously grows and we continue to require more and more resources, it seems to me that the American corn system needs a change. I want to research possible solutions and whether those solutions would work for the US and why or why not.